Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Mr. Tucker again, and I'm here to teach you a little bit more about the math that you'll hopefully be seeing next year. This is all about the Pythagorean theorem and its converse here. So let's take a look at, maybe you've heard about the Pythagorean theorem before. If you haven't, here's a definition. In a right triangle, the sum of the squares of the measures of the legs equals the square of the measure of the hypotenuse. All right, let's just break that down here for a second. Key word, hypotenuse. You got to know what that is. If you have a right triangle here, here's an example of a right triangle. The hypotenuse is always the side that is opposite of the right angle. So here's a right angle. You see it with the little box. C is the hypotenuse. When you're dealing with the Pythagorean theorem, we almost always use C to represent the hypotenuse. So it's that side that's across from the right angle. Now, all of this jargon here, all this blah, 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 basically says that square one of the sides, square one of the legs, add that to what you get when you square the other leg, and you get the hypotenuse squared. So in other words, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And that works for any right triangle. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. If they look like that, or maybe it's a little bigger. There we go, a little bigger. Or if it was upside down, it doesn't matter. All of these, no matter what, here's your right angle. So here's your hypotenuse. And it's always a squared, I'm sorry, here's a, b, and c, a, b, c, whatever. No matter what type of right triangle you have, a squared plus b squared is always going to equal c squared. So what that lets us do, let me get rid of these. All right. So if we look at a problem like this, say I have a right triangle. I know the hypotenuse is 13. There it is across from the right angle. I know one of the sides is 12, and I really want to know what this last side is. I can substitute those values that I know. Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I don't know a, but I know b, because remember, b is the other leg of the triangle, not the hypotenuse, but the other leg. So I can plug that in, plug a 13 in for c. 12 squared is 144, 13 squared is 169. If I subtract 144 from both sides, I end up with 25. And then to undo the square, you got to do the square root of both sides. Square root of 25 is 5. So we find out that that other side length is actually 5. Okay. Now, if you didn't have a graphing calculator, it's okay. Calculator on your phone probably has a square root symbol, but there's no need for you you shouldn't need a graphing calculator for this. Scientific or basic four-function calculator should do most of the job for you. All right, so this one's a little different. This time we're not looking for one of the legs. This time they're asking us to find C. So remember, C is the hypotenuse. A squared, go ahead and label that. So remember, C is the hypotenuse. So remember, you got a squared, that's going to be our 20. B squared is 30. Or B is 30, I should say. And then C is what we're looking for. Square it, you get 400. Square it, you get 900. Again, calculator in your phone can do that just fine. Add them up. Now to get C by itself, all I got to do is do the square root of both sides. Square root of 1300 ends up being 36. So C is, this little crooked symbol means it's about 36.1. Not exactly, but estimated it's 36.1. All right. All right. With that being said, you guys are fully prepared to take on the rest of this sheet. So if you look at what you guys have to do, here, the first thing I have to figure out is, which side am I looking for? right? Do you want to know, are you looking for C or are you looking for A or B? Okay, and it's going to change depending on the problem. Remember, C is always opposite the right angle. So ask yourself that question. Once you know which one you're looking for, then you just got to plug them into your Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Just so you guys know, if you haven't seen these symbols like in number 5, when you see these little lines on the side of the rectangle, that means that this side length is equal to that side length. And anything that has that same little line through it, so that means that this side is also worth 18. That means each side here is worth 18. So here, each side is worth 3 times the square root of 2. That's a tricky one. Okay, so that might help you out a little bit. And so really, you just need to solve for x in each one of these situations. Okay? When you get over to this side, same idea. Okay? And remember, you can use the calculators in your phones. You'll be just fine. All right? Hit it. All right. So if you haven't already, make sure you pause the video, try to finish up that worksheet. And when you're done, and only when you're done, you can check your answers. So if you haven't already worked it out, you have to show work to get credit. But once you've showed your work, check to see how you did. All right, number 6 is a little tougher, so I gave a little explanation on number 6. All right, and then on the next page, should look like that. All right, hopefully it wasn't too bad, and hope you learned something new. Cheers.